Big League Chew, Ouch Bubble Gum, the Bubble Beeper, all that kind of weird gum that came out in the 90s. And beyond the novelty bubble gum, beyond the bubble beepers and the bubble jugs, Amurol was quite a different company. So let's go and dig into the very, very beginning of Amurol Products Company. So the timeline for Amurol Products Company starts in 1948. It's founded by a dentist, Dr. Bruno Petrulis, from Naperville, Illinois, which Naperville is a suburb of Chicago, Illinois. And the name Amurol comes from the first two letters of three words of their ingredients, which AM in ammonia, which is used to prevent cavities and tooth decay. UR in urea, which is used for whitening teeth. And OL in oral, which means taken orally. So there we have the name of the company, Amurol. Amurol started out by selling ammoniated tooth powder formulated by University of Illinois scientists. And among the tooth powder, they also sold toothpaste products as well. Now you may be wondering, what is tooth powder? Where did that come from? Well, tooth powder was actually very popular in the early to mid 1900s before toothpaste became the more normal and easier and convenient way of dental hygiene. Tooth powder was just, harder to deal with when it came to the ritual of just cleaning your teeth daily. But there's a lot of great benefits to tooth powder as it's made of natural and organic ingredients, and it's more effective at removing plaque than toothpaste. So like I said though, tooth powder kind of went away and toothpaste became the new thing. And Amurol, they did put out toothpaste, ammoniated toothpaste as well. And throughout Amurol's first 10 years of business, Dr. Petrulis, he developed the first sugar-free chewing gum with ammonia. It combated acids in the mouth that led to tooth decay. So as the sugar-free gum became more and more popular, it caught the attention of Wrigley Gum Company, which Wrigley Gum Company is famous for its spearmint, double mint, and juicy fruit flavors of chewing gum. In 1958, Amurol is bought up and becomes a subsidiary of the Wrigley Company. After the buyout, Amurol continued to produce non-sugar and dietetic gums, other special non-sugar products, and they were also in charge of doing research to do future products as well. During the late 60s, Amurol made the first sugar-free bubblegum. It was aimed for kids called Whammo, and after a few years of the name not sticking well, they switched it up and had the genius idea of changing it from Whammo to Blammo. Now this simple name change made all the difference as Blammo became very popular with the kids, and it spanned all kinds of different flavors and variations. But by the end of the 1970s, Blammo just kinda disappeared. Amurol's just kinda schlepping along. And meanwhile, away from Amurol's doors, comes along Rob Nelson, a pitcher for an independent baseball team, the Portland Mavericks, and a bat boy from the team, Todd Field, had a gum that was inspired from being around baseball all the time. It all started a couple of years prior in 1977. Nelson saw the bat boy, Todd Field, eating chopped up licorice out of a bag, imitating chewing tobacco that he saw all the other ball players doing. He wanted to look cool in front of the ball players. Nelson seeing this, it made him talk to another fellow ball player, Jim Bouton, and they got to talking. They were saying, yeah, I never liked chewing tobacco anyways, and it's not for me. This made Nelson say to Bouton, hey, what if, I chopped up bubble gum and put it in a pouch? We could eat it and pretend to look cool and have some fun with it. They carried on the conversation as they played more in the game, and Bouton turns to Nelson and says, I really like that idea. I mean, what would we call it? Nelson said, I don't know. Big League Chew? And so with that, Nelson and Bouton shook hands, and Nelson was lended $10,000 to start making prototypes for the gum. In early 1979, Nelson read an article about a make-your-own bubblegum company from Texas, and he wound up buying a case of this make-your-own bubblegum. To finish his experiment, he went to the supermarket and he went around, he bought maple and root beer flavor extracts. Nelson, being an on-the-road baseball player, he didn't have much of a kitchen to create and bake the gum. So he went to the bat boy Todd Fields' house and asked Fields' mom if he could use their kitchen to bake and make this gum. And on February 6, 1979, the first batch of Big League Chew was created. The first batch of Big League Chew came out looking brown, just like the color of chewing tobacco, and it was cut into super thin strips with a pizza cutter. And with the hired talents of illustrator Bill Mayer, Bill made illustrations on the outside of each pouch of Big League Chew, which were all these scruffy-looking baseball players. You know, a real kind of caricature humorous take on baseball players for the gum. Hitting the streets, Nelson went door to door shopping Big League Chew to companies until he came across a small little part of Wrigley known as Amurol Products. Wrigley, being then the owners of the Chicago Cubs baseball team, it rubbed them the right way as it was a baseball-oriented kind of gum, and Amurol thought it would be a good idea to start selling. So now we're in the year 1980, specifically in the month of May, and Amurol introduced Big League Chew, and it went on to sell $18 million worth of gum that very first year. So it was a success right off the bat, no pun intended. Big League Chew went on to become the Hall of Fame bubblegum, and it's still sold today in all kinds of flavors, such as Outta Here Original Bubblegum, Swingin' Sour Apple, Ground Ball Grape, Curveball Cotton Candy, and Wild Pitch Watermelon. So with the success of Big League Chew, Amurol started shifting its focus from sugar-free and dental kind of gum to more of a novelty type of gum maker. So starting in the rad 80s, Amurol started the Candy Tasters Club, where 10 children per day from the Naperville, Illinois area were selected to come into the facility to give their opinions on gum and other candies Amurol had in the prototype stage. And each member of the Candy Tasters Club, after giving 10 minutes of their opinions and their time, they would be given a bag of gum, candy, and prizes in the form of payment. From the one-story tan brick building nestled in a quiet residential neighborhood that was Amurol headquarters, the sweet scents of bubblegum would emanate throughout the town, and people of Naperville at the time, they always said they enjoyed all the smells, especially when grape-flavored bubblegum was being made. In 1981, they had this thing called Chew Bops, which were album covers from real artists, real bands at the time. Chew Bops, they came in a 3-inch by 3-inch mocked up little album cover, and inside was a little disc of bubblegum in the shape of a record. 1982 came with the comic book characters, the Fantastic Four gum, and each pouch contained 100 bubblegum chunks of 4 different flavors, from strawberry, orange, grape, and watermelon. So there are 4 flavors because of 4 people in the Fantastic Four. Makes sense. Okay. We also have the Taco Bubblegum, which literally looked like tacos. 3 to a package with strips of green bubblegum inside representing lettuce. And there you go, bubblegum taco. And so now we're in 1982. But I guess it was like just an experiment to expand the Big League Chew name. So what did they come up with? They came up with the Big League Plug. And the Big League Plug is a chewy, chocolatey candy bar that you would chew a piece off of, put it back in its foil wrapper, and chew on it again later. And apparently this chocolate bar would never melt in your pocket. And the pouch itself looked like a Big League Chew pouch. Had a baseball player that was rather grotesque looking, chewing a piece of Big League Plug off. It was in the shape of a rectangle, or like a bar of soap, and it had the consistency of a brownie and tasted a bit like a Tootsie Roll. After it failed commercially, Wrigley pulled the plug on Big League Plug, and it was considered a complete flop. 1984, there was a Mr. T's gold chain made out of bubblegum. 1985, Rambo from the Sylvester Stallone movie had a line of gum called Rambo Black Raspberry flavored bubblegum. It featured Rambo on the front of the package shooting a machine gun with his shirt off. Pretty cool. 1986, Big League Chew rolled out a cherry cola flavor of its bubblegum. 1987, the Slush Puppy line of slushy drinks got a gum line featuring the dog mascot on the packaging, with the bubble gum in the shape of paw prints in 5 different colors, featuring 5 flavors. And also in this year, Domino's Pizza Bubble Gum. It was a pizza-shaped gum, and it came in a little Domino's pizza box as well. And the gum was fruit flavored, and it contained 40 pieces of gum in the form of little pizza slices. Then along with their Domino's team up, Amurol also made a gum for the Domino's mascot at the time with the Noid tart and fruity gumballs. We're at 1988, Bubble Tape is introduced. Bubble Tape came in a plastic container in the shape of a hockey puck, and it was in the form of a roll of tape. And the packaging prided itself to be 6 feet of bubblegum. Bubble Tape went on to become Amurol's top seller and was such a huge hit for Amurol that it was ranked 12th out of 107 brands in sales of gum overall, bringing $15.8 million in the 12-month period between July 1989 to July 1990. 1989, such a great year. The real Ghostbusters Slimer Bubble Gum came out, and the gum came in a tube like toothpaste, and you'd squirt some of this green goo Slimer gum into your mouth, and as you roll and chew it in your mouth, it would turn into gum. And also next to the Slimer gum came another flavor of real Ghostbusters gum called Ectoplasm, which was grape flavored. 1991, Bubble Gum folders, which these folders looked like the typical folders kids would take to school, only smaller, and they contained 24 sticks of gum that would be in both flaps inside of the folder. And we close out 1991 with the Fluffy brand Bubblegum Cotton Candy Bubblegum. It started out as cotton candy, but as you eat it and chew it, it would turn into bubblegum. 1992, the Squeeze Pop, a fruit-flavored gel that came in a clear tube described as liquid lollipop or squeeze and lick lollipop, with flavors such as cherry, watermelon, and blue raspberry. Then there was the Bubble Beeper, which was a plastic container in the shape of a beeper you could clip onto your belt. Then you could walk around looking like the coolest kid ever, dude. And it contained 17 sticks of original flavored bubble gum. And the wrappers on these sticks had all kinds of different messages, call me, or whatever you could think of. Whatever someone would beep somebody. I never owned a beeper. I don't know. Ouch Bubble Gum. The Band-Aid wrapper sticks of gum in a Band-Aid styled tin first became available. We close up 1992 with Bungee Bubble Gum, which was a tubed gum. And it was like a, Slimer or the Ectoplasm gum, but this gum featured a man bungee jumping on the tube, with his shoes being the cap for the gum and a little elastic band attached to his feet. 1993, Bubble Jug, a little plastic jug with a handle representing a juice jug filled with powder crystals and bubblegum chunks. And as you pour the powder and chunks into your mouth and chew on it, it would turn into bubblegum altogether. And the original flavors were tropical fruit, watermelon punch, and Caribbean blend. And a candy-like version of Bubble Jug without gum came out called Cookies and Cream Candy Jug, that you would consume it the way you would do a bubble gum, but you could obviously eat it as it wasn't gum. Teaming up with the video game company Nintendo, they made the Game Boy Bubble Gum, which also included trading cards, and the plastic container was smaller, and it was in the shape of a Game Boy, which opened at the top, and it would include 4 trading cards out of a 14-card collection. The Game Boy containers came in a variety of colors from green, pink, yellow, and the original beige color. Closing up 1993, we have the Cellular Bubble Gum. It was a plastic container in the shape of a cell phone, obviously, and it came in clear red or black, and it contained 10 rolls of bubble gum in foil wrapping, and you opened it from the bottom. 1994, we have the CD player bubble gum in a little black 1 1/4 ounce container of gum, and it contained 8 bubble gum discs. Then starting the kids early, we have the checkbook bubble gum, because, it was every kid's dream, apparently, to eat checks, as this gum came in a plastic book looking like a checkbook, and these checkbooks had your typical multicolored 90s wacky style and look to them, and it had 2 large sleeves of gum with edible print on them, and these sleeves of gum obviously looked like checks. And they put some humor with these checks, as the checks were printed out saying it would be paid to the order of I Am Rich, and the signature read Bo Gus Books. And in 1994, with Amurol Products Company being such a huge success with bubble tape and everything else in the past couple of years, they're pulling in $150 million annually. Wrigley wanted to boost production of Amurol products and revamped the company and renamed it Amurol Confections. So along with this rename, a new logo was made, and after 46 years, Amurol moves from its hometown of Naperville to its new location 55 miles outside of Chicago in Yorkville, Illinois. This facility for Amurol would boost production by 30%, which led to even more fun novelty ideas for bubblegum. With this focused philosophy of novelty in mind, Amurol Confections bore the slogan, Innovation in Kids' Confections. 1995, Amurol went hardcore as they released the Super Active Bubblegum line. They released 3 different products with this. One was Grow Gum, to where a piece of gum would double in its size whenever you chew it. We have the Blow and Throw, where you could blow a bubblegum bubble and it wouldn't pop as soon as you touch it, to where you could seal it off and then throw it at somebody as a prank. And then the third of the super active gum line was Loud Bubblegum, which was a gum that would make a pop really, really super loud. Then we have the Bubble Locker, which was a tin in the shape of a locker, which contained 17 sticks of gum. Then a larger version of bubble tape came out called the Mega Roll. We got the Bubble Calculator, that was a real calculator that included gum. Bubblegum slot machine called Bubble Jackpot featured pellets of gum of 3 different flavors, representing the reels on a slot machine. Then the Squeeze Pop had a new line of candy out called Aquarium Candy, which was a plastic pouch with illustrated fish in an aquarium setting with blue raspberry candy gel inside. Moving on to 1996, we've got Paint Box Bubblegum, where you had a little plastic carton of gumballs with 5 colors of edible paint, along with a paintbrush to color your own bubblegum. Then we have Speeding Ticket Bubblegum, which was just a sheet of gum with printing on it, saying you've been bad, you've been speeding. There's the Bubblegum Express Credit Card Gum, where the credit card number spelled out, "Do not chew gum without it," which was a play on the American Express credit card slogan. And then in late 1996, the children's television network Nickelodeon hit its stride in having its biggest ratings ever. And so the children's network set out to expand its brand with food and candy. So they started turning to Amurol. So by 1997, Amurol announced it was rolling out gum inspired from Nickelodeon and its characters. So this first line of gum from Nickelodeon consisted of Green Slime Bubblegum, Chewology Bubblegum Lab, and Real Monsters Bubblegum. The packaging of all 3 had its own distinct shape, but had a color theme of purple with it and the orange Nickelodeon blob logo on it. And then, closing out the holidays for 1997, they had a paint your own bubblegum ornament. And this ornament was like a flat circle fruit-flavored bubblegum, and also were included 4 colors of paint, along with a paintbrush, as it was inside of a resealable case that was able to be hung on your Christmas tree. In 1998, Amurol teamed up with Pez to bring gum dispensers in the form of all kinds of different animals serving as the dispensers, from Curly the pig to Zippy the dog. The line was referred to as Pez Pets, featuring Amurol bubblegum. Also in 1998, Amurol attempted to get a hold of a niche market they called functional gum, and they made Stay Alert. It was a caffeinated supplement chewing gum. 1 stick of gum was the equivalent of a cup of coffee. Stay Alert hit the market in late 1998 with 2 flavors, mint and cinnamon. 1999, Stamp Bubbles bubblegum. It was much like a paint-your-own bubblegum, but you had edible stamping ink. You could stamp on your piece of bubblegum and then eat it afterwards. 2000 saw a new flavor in the Bubble Jug line, which was Orange Crush Soda flavored. 2001, from the kids' TV show Butt Ugly Martians, Amurol made candy tarts packaged in a pouch themed around the show, which were in both sweet and sour flavors like cherry, lemon, and watermelon. After this, Amurol continued to make gum products and new things here and there, but they didn't really get a foothold into anything else after that. So a reason I think Amurol just kind of disappeared into the 2000s was the 2008 buyout, when Wrigley was bought out by Mars Incorporated. And a lot of times subsidiaries of companies that are bought out kind of just get dissolved. So that's probably where the end of Amurol is, when the buyout happened in 2008. But when you search for Amurol Confections and try to find any contact information, you can still find an address located in Yorkville, Illinois, and their website, which was bubblegum.com. And whenever you go to bubblegum.com, it redirects you to mars.com. So that kind of answers a lot of questions right there. But I did some reporting. I found a phone number to the address, and I called it. The manager answers. Hello? Yeah, hi. I'm doing a podcast episode on Amurol Confections, and does Amurol even exist, or what's the shape of it right now? She goes and says, Amurol? No, I haven't heard about that unless it was bought out in 2008, but yeah, no, it ain't here anymore. Amurol got dissolved basically during the buyout, like I thought. Digging through things of what I could find, the last existence of Amurol being a business was trademarks being filed in June of 2003, and looking at the trademark registrations for them, they were abandoned the next year in 2004. So since Amurol is gone, you're kind of saying, hey, I see bubble tape. I see Big League Chew out there. Amurol still has to exist, right? No. Hubba Bubba, the bubblegum brand, kind of took that over, which is still owned by Wrigley Gum, or Mars if you want to get the big cheese corporate going. That's where Amurol kind of ends. Even though Amurol products may be under a different name now, you can still celebrate its spirit by chewing bubble tape, Ouch bubblegum, Big League Chew, and just know that none of these would have existed without Amurol.